Hello and welcome. You're watching the Small and Mid Cap Show. I'm Mahima Vajrajani and with me is Harsh Saita. Well, we have two very interesting managements lined up for you today. The first one is EaseMyTrip, where lots happening with this company, and we are joined by Mr. Prashant Pitti, who's the co-founder at EaseMyTrips, who joins us now. Welcome to the show, Prashant. Prashant, a lot is happening when it comes to, EaseMyTrip, a lot of multiple acquisitions. All over, we want to know, in terms of what's happening, what are the kind of acquisitions that you're doing. I'll start with, the recent investment in Rollins and Pflege, which is, into medical tourism. So I want to understand that, what are the kind of synergies that you're trying to build in this particular acquisition?
No, firstly, happy to be on the show and provide explanation for the things which are happening at EaseMyTrip. Firstly, before I would like to set the context. The company has been growing ever since. We are still we were a bootstrap company till the time we got listed. And from the listing till today, our business has grown by almost 4 times. The core travel business has grown by 4 times. The profitability has almost grown by about 5 times over the period of last 3 years. So the company is in very well solid position to continue and grow the travel related businesses. However, at the board level, we have also recently decided that we are going to be a bit diversified. And the idea behind that is that, as you would know, that there are very few companies who have been extremely disciplined and have been bootstrapped. Internet companies to become a bootstrap listed company is a very, very rare phenomena. And from that, you should understand that the promoters probably, possess certain knowledge, which are not very common. And for that, the board has decided that we will basically find another level of find another kind of companies like EaseMyTrip in different domains who are bootstrapped, but could potentially be a listed company in the next 3 to 4 years' time. And we would be basically funding them and helping them with our advisory, with our technology, with our consumer base, and help them grow faster than before. And for this, we are taking minority stake in those companies, and a couple of acquisitions which you have seen in the recent are in respect to that.
Right, Prashant, Harsh also joining in. Is this collaboration of sorts only India-centric, or is it with regard to more geographies outside of India as well? Because medical tourism, of course, is a growing sector in India. It's also a niche. So, want to try and understand as to how this play is going to work for you.
So with respect to medical tourism, it cannot be just India specific. For example, the Pflege company is actually a Dubai-based company. They already 30% of their business right now is actually allowing people whom they have identified have problems and can be solved in India related to surgeries. They're actually sending those passengers to India. They have tie-ups with various hospitals, and they can directly contribute to EaseMyTrip business, EaseMyTrip Dubai business. EaseMyTrip Dubai business is growing rapidly. Last quarter, we did business of over 126 odd crores. And we believe Pflege can help EaseMyTrip Dubai business monumentally by contributing to it. So by the nature of medical tourism itself, which is growing really rapidly, and India is becoming a very hot destination for medical tourism, we believe that it has to be at the global scale.
All right. And Prashant, what are the kind of revenues that you're expecting from this particular acquisition? And secondly, the margins in the medical tourism business are much higher. So are you expecting your blended margins to go up?
Absolutely. And more than that, but however, these are minority acquisitions. So they will not directly play a role of, onto EaseMyTrip's margin since they are on the minority side. The high level understanding is that in the future as well, we might do a play of like InfoEdge and grow the company in various other domains as well. Probably looking for more asset-light, technology-driven companies, which are something like EaseMyTrip, Bootstrap. And for this, we are going to very shortly start a website as well to allow people to apply their companies to become, so that EaseMyTrip can invest in them. So this is the larger play which we are looking at. EV is a whole different game. We already have a company called as YOLO Bus, and YOLO Bus is operating about 80 odd buses across India right now. When we acquired the company, it only had 2-3 buses. Now it is about at 80 bus. We really look forward for YOLO Bus to grow to become 2,000 plus buses in the next couple of years. And for that, we found out that the best unit economics is actually in the EV buses space, not the diesel buses. And with respect to that, we started searching for EV buses, but we couldn't find many suppliers. There is a huge shortage over there. And that is when we decided that we will basically start manufacturing of EV buses ourselves for YOLO bus, the operating arm to consume, and also for other government agencies or other agencies to buy from us.
Got it, Prashant. Prashant, how quickly are you able to set this business up? How quickly does the ball start to roll, especially on the EV bus side of things and with regard to YOLO bus?
So YOLO Bus is already an operational company doing wonderfully well for us.
Yes.
In terms of the EV manufacturing unit, we have identified the right person to become the CEO, Mr. Manoj Soni, who's a veteran in the industry, comes from Ashok Leyland. We have appointed him as the CEO of the company, and he's rolling the ball right now. We are in the phase of doing the R&D and figuring out the right product. And then the next phase will come is basically to set up the manufacturing unit. I believe in the matter of 2 years, we should be able to launch the manufacturing unit, and which would have the capacity of rolling out 2,000 to 3,000 buses on annual basis.
And all of those buses will be used by you, by EaseMyTrip, or would you also be selling them outside, maybe to government, etc.?
Correct. So not necessarily all of them will be used internally by YOLO buses. Yes, first demands for YOLO buses will be fulfilled, and any extra capacity, there's a huge shortage of EV buses. There is a very high demand from the government sector.
Sure.
To roll out in EV buses for intra-city and intercity travel. And we would look forward to fulfill those demands as well.
And that will shrink your margins, that part of the business?
Not really. That's also, as I said, that there's a huge supply crunch in the market, and hence the demand could pay pretty well.
What will your margins on that particular business be? What are you anticipating that number to be around?
Around 10 to 15%, while our current margins are at about 8%.
Got it. With regard to your incubation business, now that's something which is differentiated, because you spoke about InfoEdge and how InfoEdge has done. That's going to be unique. So how much in terms of cash flow do you all do, free cash flow do you all do annually, and how much of that will you be putting to use for your incubation business, and how much for your current business of EaseMyTrip, which you are already venturing into, several businesses rather? So
as you would know, EaseMyTrip is a free cash flowing company.
Yes.
Where we have a positive cash flow. Last year we did a cash flow of about 124 odd crores. So we will, as a profitable company, we will utilize our free cash flow to basically invest in these young companies, which potentially can become a listed company. Very shortly, we are also launching a platform called as raiseonce.com. Raise once basically means that just raise once to be able to get to a listed space from bootstrap to listed just by raising once, and hopefully that raise once will come from EaseMyTrip, and we're looking forward to help those companies to grow faster and get to a listing space.
Right. So Prashant, you talked about this raise one thing. So I want to understand more on that, as well as, you've also introduced ScanMyTrip. So I want to understand both of these businesses first, and then, get into the financial aspect of that.
Sure. ScanMyTrip is basically in collaboration with ONDC. This is first of its own kind, where EaseMyTrip has become, a seller and as well as a buyer of travel related services. We have co-jointly created the APIs. And on the basis of this, we will be able to sell and buy on ONDC. ONDC is picking up really well, and we want to be ahead of the curve, which is why EaseMyTrip is the first OTA which has launched this ScanMyTrip, which will allow various lakhs and lakhs of buyers and suppliers on ONDC to utilize our services.
All right. So this is targeted more towards companies per se, companies and corporates?
Not necessarily. There are a lot of MSMEs which are already using ONDC. So for MSME bookings, for individual bookings, ONDC is a platform. It's a protocol basically, an exchange of an API, and ScanMyTrip has basically become one of the buyers and the suppliers, both on ONDC.
Okay, and then what? Okay, and then what is the kind of revenues that you're expecting from this particular, ScanMyTrip introduction, and what are the kind of margins there?
So again, it's too early for us to say all this because we are the pioneers in the industry. This is the first OTA which is getting launched on ONDC platform, and hence it would be difficult for me to predict what kind of volumes we should expect. However, we already know that ONDC is highly successful in basically getting the adoption. And if the adoption has come for non-travel usage, I'm assuming that the adoption will also come for travel usage. And hence, I'm looking forward to see numbers grow rapidly on ONDC.
And will that affect your business, Prashant? Because isn't that in some form competition for your business?
Not really, because besides the flight booking, there are various other bookings for which EaseMyTrip does not have very high market share. For example, in the holiday space, for example, in the transfer space, EaseMyTrip does not have a very high market share, and ONDC, I believe, will actually add a lot of value in such spaces.
Got it. And Prashant, with regard to quantum, is there a particular ballpark number that you all will be looking to invest through your new platform which you all are putting up into companies, raise once as you call it? How much would that quantum be?
There is no quantum which we have set right now.
Okay.
Both the deals which have happened are actually equity swap at the moment. The ones which is with the Rollins and the Pflege.
Okay.
And hence there is no cash outflow which is happening for this 90 crore deal.
Okay, so Rollins is part of these acquisitions which you are going to be making, these minority acquisitions.
Correct. Rollins and Pflege both are part of this minority acquisition which we are making, and I'm looking forward to more such companies which are basically doing wonderfully well and could become the next EaseMyTrip.
Got it. And how is the medical tourism vertical going? Sorry, I'm coming probably back to where we started, but how is that one going? So how does that start contributing both to top line? Are you doing it standalone by yourselves? Are you all doing it in partnership with someone? And what are the target geographies that you have?
So medical tourism is actually there are a lot of nuances around it. It's a beautiful industry, rapidly growing. India is becoming a hot destination for medical tourism, and which is why we have forayed into it along with the Pflege. Pflege is one of the leading service providers for people in Middle East and CIS countries and help them to come to India for their medical needs. And we expect that this business is going to ramp up pretty rapidly. And we look forward to become part of it as a shareholder and as well as travel service providers to the people who are coming to India for medical tourism.
Going to do it only through Pflege? Is that how one looks at it, Mr. Pitti?
For the countries which are in Middle East and CIS, yes, we would do it through Pflege because they need to be the originator of customers. The customers, we don't know those customers. Pflege, what it does is it provides home care to people in Middle East. Now, when they are providing home care to people in Middle East, they are already in touch with customers, and hence they know people who need medical tourism to come to India to get their ailment right. And hence they become the source of the origin of the customers who are coming to India, and hence we would work along with them.
And do you all get a revenue share as part of this? Of course, 30% is your ownership in that company, but do you all also get a revenue share out of this? Does it contribute to top line?
Absolutely.
And what is that percentage, if at all?
That is not something public. In future, we probably will disclose more as.
And outside of these geographies, would you also be exploring US?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So wherever there is big medical tourism, we are looking for companies like Pflege, based out of those countries who can basically do origination for medical tourism to create demand for India.
And have you all tied up with partners in India correspondingly? Because that's something you all will need.
So Pflege already has multiple hospitals with whom they are working along with. Our responsibility will be to take care of the travel part.
Understood. Understood. That makes sense. Got it. And with regard to the 1,000 crore fundraise, of course, you've also suggested 200 crore to be invested in your manufacturing facility. Just one quick clarification. So where does that 1,000 crore go, or where does the balance 800 crore go? And is the capacity going to be at 4,000 to 5,000 buses or 2,000 to 3,000 buses?
The capacity, annual capacity is going to be 2,000 to 3,000 basis. And the fundraise, we have taken a board approval to raise up to 1,000 crore rupees. We are speaking to few investors to see if we can, if there is a demand. Right now, there is basically we are in the phase of understanding the demand. But The board approval is already there, and as and when any next steps happen, we will be informing you guys.
Okay, thank you. Got it. Thank you so much, Prashant. It's been a pleasure chatting. Of course, lots happening with EaseMyTrip. Wish you all the very best, and we'll chat with you very, very soon. Of course, post the Q1 numbers, Q2 numbers. I beg your pardon, to get better stock of what's happening. Thanks so much.
Thank you.